And online, we have Susan Feith. Looking through the list of attendees online or through Zoom, we have two phone call people. Could you identify yourself, please?
Dan and Chris from Stratford Sign Company.
Thank you, Dan.
Bill Clendenny, Town of Grand Rapids.
Excuse me, could you repeat yourself?
Bill Clendenny, Town of Grand Rapids.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. All right, so our first item on our agenda is to the approval of the report from March 1st, 2021 Plan Commission meeting. What are your wishes? We have a motion by Lee,
Second.
second by Tom. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 2 is We Energies, request for an approximate 6 by 6 foot easement for utilities in a parking lot at 130 2nd Street North, parcel ID 3408140. Mr. Kearns?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to interject off topic for a moment. There are two items on the agenda that were slated to be part of this agenda. They are noted on the notice of public hearing that would have went out on the 18th of March. And those two items would have required a public hearing notice and adequate notice to the surrounding property owners. However, the applicant has since withdrawn those items, and that was a request to rezone a property. The applicant was Travis Demski. Again, the second request was again from Travis Demski for a conditional use permit. Because those items were withdrawn, there will be no action on those items tonight or moving forward unless the applicant submits applications on future agenda items. With that being said, the item in question is a request again from We Energies. The applicant, Tammy, is online and can speak to this if there are specific questions for the applicant. Essentially, there's a meter that needs to be installed on the side of 130 2nd Street North, and it falls within a city parking lot, city property next to Easttown Plaza. And from a future development standpoint, staff doesn't have any concerns. We feel as though, given the small size of the easement, the 6 by 6, given that the applicant's looking to install bollards too to protect that meter, we feel it is appropriate. The city attorney and the director of public works have also reviewed and I believe would recommend approval as well. So with that being said, again, we would recommend approving the easement that's been submitted by We Energies for this 6 by 6 foot area.
Plan Commission members, any questions? We have a representative from We Energies here if you do have any questions.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Tom, and I'll second that motion. So I have a motion and a second to approve the request. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion carries. Should also be noted that Commission member Dan Hansen is also present online. Third item is Plan 21-0191, Teresa Cashman. Request for a site plan amendment review to expand parking and outdoor seating at 3820 8th Street South, parcel ID 3413806.
This item has been in front of you already for prior approval twice, originally for the construction of the out-of-the-box coffee shop on 8th Street, and then they came back a second time in July to reduce the size slightly of the building and the parking area. I think Teresa can probably speak to this better than I have, but I think they've had a fairly good opening and are in need of some more parking, and I think they have a desire to pursue outdoor seating as well. So any exterior expansion within our zoning code requires a site plan review. So they have submitted an updated site plan showing where the proposed parking stalls would go, as well as where the outdoor seating would go. There are a few concerns that have come up, one being that the northernmost parking lot setback doesn't appear to meet the 5-foot requirement, and so we have added a condition speaking to that. Also, the landscaping, while there's certainly an abundant amount, doesn't specifically meet the landscaping requirements. There are a few more trees that are needed on the eastern side, the street frontage side, and then I believe there's also some landscaping needed with building landscaping. And a lot of those points can be obtained by either changing species around or adding a few shrubs around the building rather than perennials. With that being said, we would recommend approval of the updated site plan with the conditions identified on page 1 of the staff report.
Plan Commission, what are your thoughts?
So this is Susan. Kyle, I didn't hear you mention the fact that the lighting plan hasn't been submitted yet.
That's correct. It has not been submitted yet, and that is a condition of the approval as well.
I would move for approval on the basis that all of the staff recommendations be met, A, B, C, and D.
There are 3 more on page 2 as well.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, in E, F, and G.
Thank you. We have a motion by Susan, well, seconded by Lee. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? That motion carries. Item 4 is Plan 21-0165, Stratford Signs Company, LLC. Request for a sign exception to reface an existing non-conforming freestanding sign at 2100 7th Street South, parcel ID 3412128. Mr. Kearns.
Within our sign code, we have a section that allows for exceptions to be made for bulk regulations as well as face changes to non-conforming signs. This exception requires Plan Commission approval, and the request before you today is for that face change. So we have an existing business that has changed their logo and their design of their sign, and they're looking to utilize the existing cabinet essentially and existing posts, which do not meet the setback requirements for signs, and are also within the vision triangle as identified next to the driveway. Upon review, given it is an existing sign, it's not increasing the square footage. I don't believe there are any records of incidents citing the sign. There is still a small area of the boulevard that falls within the city right-of-way that I think adequately does provide access to vehicles exiting and entering the business. And with that being said, I would recommend approving the face change. If, however, the size increases or any change to the existing posts and the location of the sign occur, then they would need to meet the requirements. So if it's solely the face change for the same size, I would recommend approval of the request.
Thank you. Plan Commission members, questions, thoughts? This is Shane. I'll make a motion to approve the request with
I'll
the
second
condition.
it.
Okay, thank you, with the conditions that Kyle outlined. So we have a motion and a second to to approve the request. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carried. We're on to item 5, Plan 21-0168, Mead Witter Foundation, Inc. Request for a site plan review to construct park-like improvements at 111 West Grand Avenue, parcel ID 3402490. Mr. Kern.
Mr. Chairman, this is Susan. I will recuse myself at this point.
Okay, so noted. Mr. Kearns.
One moment. All right, so we have a request by the Mead Witter Foundation. They own some property within downtown, located at 111 West Grand. They, right now, it's essentially a vacant lot. It's got a parking area on the site that's in pretty rough shape. And the foundation is requested to pursue park-like improvements and really improve the space to make it kind of a serene aesthetic park, private park within the downtown. And Sean is on the call, who's the applicant and can certainly provide additional information in terms of the project. But from a review standpoint, again, because of the change to the site, it would require that site plan review through Plan Commission. Again, we have identified it in our zoning code as a park, and not a lot of the site plan review standards are applicable in this instance, because there's not really a parking component in the downtown because it's zone B1. They're obviously installing quite a bit of landscaping and other aesthetic features, including a bridge and some concrete paths and some seating, and they're incorporating a very unique kind of stormwater feature that goes under the bridge to catch some of the stormwater runoff. With that being said, certainly I think it will improve the downtown and the area, and staff would recommend approval with, I believe it's just a few minor conditions of approval, stating that, again, they identify a lighting plan showing intensity at the property line, and that can be done, again, with a site plan that shows foot candles and how far out the measurement of light extrudes from the property. And then they obtain all applicable permits through the city. And lastly, that staff have the ability to approve minor changes in the event that they want to change maybe the path or some of the benches and seating, or maybe other landscaping features within the park if they're considered minor. I don't necessarily think they need to come back before this body for that approval.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Sean is online. If you do have any questions. This is Shane. Yeah, I agree that it'll be a nice addition, or addition to the downtown, the green space, versus the existing. I'll make a motion to approve the request with the staff recommendations.
A second.
It was seconded by Dan Hansen. So we have a motion and a second for the approval of the plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And just for the record, Susan Feith did not participate in this item. All right, we are on item 6, Plan 210169, Community Development Department, public hearing and action on a request to amend Chapter 11 zoning code of the city's municipal code to clarify vision triangle requirements for alleys, driveways, and streets. Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Mayor. So this request has stemmed from what I think is an extensive vision triangle requirement in our code currently for driveways. Right now, if you have a driveway, you need to have a 10 by 10 vision triangle, which runs parallel to your driveway and parallel to the street, which if those endpoints are connected, create a triangle as referenced and shown on the memo. And to me, and from what I've heard from a lot of property owners, is that, that 10 feet is unnecessary. And I don't disagree with them. And I think that from a vision standpoint, I think it also, if you extend that vision triangle out perhaps to 20 feet, you're preserving much more vision in terms of a vehicle that's accessing the driveway, either exiting or entering the driveway. And that's why we're requiring to shrink that vision triangle from 10 by 10 down to what would be 5 by 20. 5 feet parallel to the driveway or lengthwise to the driveway, and then 20 feet along the street, which again, kind of shrinks the area, the horizontal area, which would be a vehicle that's sitting in a driveway, but extends it down the street to hopefully give them a longer view corridor when they're entering and exiting a driveway. I do also want to note that the Public Works Department and the city engineer have also commented and would support this amendment. They also noted that from a braking standpoint, if a vehicle can see somebody exiting a driveway sooner, they're able to respond sooner and allows them more braking time as well. So from a safety standpoint, I think it makes sense both to a vehicle in the street and a vehicle in the driveway. Again, with that being said, I would recommend the recommendations for the changes outlined in the staff memo.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. So at this time, we can open the public hearing. Time is 4:17. Is there anybody that wishes to speak in favor of the request? For a second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the request? And lastly, is there anybody that wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the request? And secondly, is there anybody that wishes to speak against the request? And lastly, is there anybody who wishes to speak against the request? We will close the public hearing at 4:18. Any questions, comments? Or what are the wishes of the Plan Commission members? We have a motion by Lee to approve the request,
I'll second it.
and it was seconded by Susan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody that opposes? That motion does carry, and we are on to item number 7, which is adjournment. I'll make a motion to adjourn. This is Shane. Seconded by Lee. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? That motion carries, and thank you everybody for participating.